While you were watching the stock ticker, you missed the real story. Everyone is obsessed with the brain of AI, the GPU, the H100s, the Blackwell chips. But an organism needs more than a brain to survive. And right now, the most advanced AI systems on Earth are starving. I've been analyzing the capital expenditure reports, the CapEx, of the Magnificent Seven. Microsoft, Amazon, Google, they are terrified. They aren't just building computers anymore. They are panic buying power plants. If you are still buying chip stocks today thinking the rally is just starting, you are looking at the wrong end of the supply chain. The smart money has already rotated. They are betting on the one thing Silicon Valley can't code into existence. We are walking into the biggest energy squeeze since the 1970s. To understand this crisis, you have to understand the physics of thinking. For the last 2 years, we've been in the training phase. That's like sending a kid to college. It takes a lot of energy to teach a model like GPT-4, but you only do it once. But now, we are entering the inference phase. This is the kid graduating and getting a job. Every time you ask ChatGPT a question, that is inference. Here is the math nobody talks about. A standard Google search uses 0.3 watt-hours of energy. A ChatGPT query uses 2.9 watt-hours. That is 10 times the power. But it gets worse. We are moving to reasoning models, like OpenAI's o1. These models don't just answer, they think. They simulate hundreds of scenarios before they type a single word. That thinking time isn't free, it's pure electricity. We are about to replace billions of low-energy Google searches with billions of high-energy reasoning loops. Now the skeptics will say, but chips are getting more efficient. The Blackwell chip is 25 times more efficient than the old ones. This is the most dangerous lie in economics. It ignores the Jevons paradox. William Stanley Jevons noticed something in the 1860s. When steam engines became more efficient, Britain didn't use less coal. It used exponentially more. Why? Because when energy becomes cheap and efficient, you find new ways to use it. We are seeing this right now. Because AI is getting efficient, companies aren't just using it to write emails. They are building agents that run 24/7. They are using AI to fold proteins, simulate weather, and trade stocks every millisecond. Efficiency doesn't lower demand. It unlocks latent demand. We are not saving power. We are creating a world where computing is the oxygen of the economy. So the demand is infinite, but can we plug it in? This is where the forensic part of our job starts. I looked at the PJM interconnection queue. That's the waiting list to connect new power to the US grid. Right now, there are 2,000 gigawatts of power waiting in line. The average wait time to get connected? 5 years. The US power grid is a relic. It was built for light bulbs and air conditioners, not for trillion-parameter models. This has created a bizarre new market. Tech companies are now buying bankrupt paper mills and closed factories. They don't want the buildings. They want the interconnection rights. They are buying the place in line. It's like buying a junk car just to get the license plate. That is how desperate they are. But let's zoom in on the specific piece of hardware that is breaking the system. The high-voltage transformer. This is the heart of the substation. It steps the voltage down so the data center doesn't explode. There are only a handful of companies on Earth that make the big ones. Siemens, Hitachi, Eaton. I checked their order books. They are sold out. If Microsoft orders a step-up transformer today, it won't be delivered until 2029. Think about that. They have the chips, they have the land, they have the cash, but the entire project is dead in the water because of a boring, gray metal box that weighs 400 tons. This hardware shortage is the single biggest threat to the AI bull market. So, the public grid is broken. The waiting line is 5 years long. What is the solution? You go behind the meter. You build your own power plant. And looking at the deals signed in late 2024, the smart money has chosen their fuel, nuclear. Look at the Microsoft deal with Constellation Energy. They signed a 20-year contract to restart 3 Mile Island. But here's the detail everyone missed. Microsoft agreed to pay over $100 per megawatt hour. The current market price for power in that region is around $50. Microsoft is paying double. Why? Because base load power, power that never turns off, is priceless to them. Wind and solar flicker. If the wind stops blowing, the AI stops thinking. Nuclear runs 24/7, 65. This deal set a floor price for every nuclear electron in America. The repricing has begun. But restarting old plants isn't enough. We haven't built a new nuclear fleet in decades. Enter the SMR, Small Modular Reactor. Forget the Simpsons. Forget the cooling towers. An SMR is a nuclear battery the size of a shipping container. Google just signed a deal to deploy 7 of these. Amazon is buying them too. The idea is simple. You build them in a factory, put them on a truck, drive them to the data center, and dig them into the ground. This transforms big tech companies into utilities. They are effectively privatizing the power generation of the future because the government is moving too slow. Now we have to look at the risk. If everyone pivots to nuclear, where does the fuel come from? Uranium isn't like software. You have to dig it out of the ground. Here is the geopolitical trap. The United States consumes massive amounts of enriched uranium, but we produce almost none. Where does it come from? Kazakhstan, Russia, and Uzbekistan. We are currently in a cold war with the very people who control the fuel for our AI revolution. The US government recently passed a ban on Russian uranium imports. The supply chain is tightening. We are trying to restart a domestic uranium industry that has been dead for 30 years. It takes 10 to 15 years to open a new mine. The math doesn't work. We are heading for a supply shock. Finally, we arrive at the most boring, yet most critical metal on Earth: copper. You can have the chips, the transformers, and the uranium, but you cannot move a single electron without copper. An electric vehicle uses 3x the copper of a gas car. An AI data center uses massive amounts of copper cabling. But look at the geology. The ore grades, the amount of copper in the rock, are collapsing. In the 1900s, we dug up rock that was 4% copper. Today, we are excited to find rock that is 0.5% copper. We have to move 10 times more earth just to get the same amount of metal. This means copper must get more expensive. It is a geological certainty. The smart money is hoarding copper futures because they know the AI revolution is physically impossible without it. So let's summarize the case file. The market is mispricing the risk. They are bidding up the software companies and the chip makers to valuations that demand perfection, but they are ignoring the infrastructure required to make that perfection possible. The smart money playbook is simple. 1. Long the grid hardware, the companies making the transformers and cables. 2. Long the utilities with nuclear assets. They hold the winning lottery tickets. 3. Long the physical commodities, uranium and copper. The AI bubble might pop. The chatbots might get boring, but the power plants and the copper wires, those are real assets that will be valuable for the next 50 years. Don't buy the gold rush, buy the shovel, or in this case, buy the power cord. This is the smart money wisdoms. Case closed.